Hello. Welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 437. I'm Otto. Tonight I am joined with Alex,
Hello.
the malinformant, James Babb.
Great to be here.
And James, why don't you introduce our special guest for this evening?
All right, Tatiana doesn't have her camera on yet because, she's just too radiant to just blows out the camera. So anyway,
I was trying
Tatiana,
to set it up when I'm home. It's not really going that well, but whatever.
All right. Let's see. We didn't have any kind of intro prepared for you, but most people know Tatiana because she's famous and she's been like singing songs at cool Bitcoin conferences. And before Bitcoin conferences, you were coming to Philly doing some of our like End the Fed shows. Like, weren't you in on a Fed stock stuff like that back in the day? So anyway, there's one song that sometimes sticks in my head. The Bitcoin song, like use Bitcoin wherever you pay. Like such a hook. Like that's not necessarily a compliment, but it is a brutal hook. So now you've gone country. Is that correct?
I don't know. I think there's actually a lot of pop flavors on this record, more than country. But I don't know. I always
love
have a
songs for idiots.
Yes, it's my epic title.
All right, all right. Tell us all about it.
Sure. So thanks everybody for having me on. I don't know. Sorry. So basically I got in from California last week, and so I took a nap before I got here. So I'm like, ugh. But I'm gonna wake up because I was on this schedule for a while where I was going to bed at 8:00 on Eastern time, and now I'm trying to be cool and go to bed at like, I don't know, midnight, 11 o'clock, just not at 8 because that seems a little bit inappropriate. But anyway, so yes, a real rebel goes to bed at 8 p.m. So yeah, no, I have a new record. I've actually been kind of sitting on it through COVID because I was waiting for this magical moment to come out when I was going to be able to put it out and it was going to be the most impactful. And then I figured out, well, I'm just going to put it out. So here it is. I just put it out the other day last week. So I'm happy to be talking about it. It's my fourth record and I'm really proud of it. I think it came out really well. We did it at a little brownstone recording studio in Brooklyn, and we just did it over the course of 3 days, mostly live. So I think that was pretty neat. Have you guys had a chance to take a listen? Probably not yet, right? It just came out.
We have not. Where can anybody find it? It's on streaming on anywhere.
Well, yeah, no, they can listen on Spotify, on Amazon. They could buy it on iTunes. They could buy it on my website. They could send me Bitcoin for it, I guess. So yeah, I mean, like that's the thing, right? Like, what do people do now that there's music out there? How do you monetize it? So I've been spending a lot of time kind of thinking about that in addition to just putting out the record and doing a bunch of other stuff.
Nice. Did you play any at the Rage Against War rally? Anything off your new album there? Okay.
Yeah, so that was a really neat thing because, as Jim said, I got involved with the Ron Paul movement maybe around 2011, 2012. And, those are really special days, being able to, I don't know, just stand in the street and protest with people. I mean, there was something about it that felt completely pointless. But then there was another part of it that felt like, I don't know, just this really great sense of camaraderie. But after seeing what happened with Ron Paul in 2012, I didn't really believe in the political process anymore. I mean, was there to believe in? It was obviously very rigged. So I became kind of like uninterested in this. So then I started doing Bitcoin stuff. But now, after COVID, it's nice to be able to get together with people. And it was nice to see a bipartisan effort. I have definitely seen some commie posts from some of the people that were speaking, and I still think it's okay because I'd rather argue with them about stuff than just get blown away by nuclear wars. I feel like that's a good cause for everybody to come together.
For sure. That's how I looked at it. I was like, I'll sit down. Even commies are afraid of nuclear annihilation,
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about pronouns another day. We don't need to do it today. Like we just need to live in order to have that argument. So yeah, I sang Masters of War, which a lot of people know me for that version. And then I also did a new song off the record called What You Gonna Do. So I had 3 singles and then the album. So the main song off the album right now is Love Song. But the 3rd single, which is what I have a music video for, is the song that I did in DC. And it's called What You Gonna Do. And it's I grew up going to Poland every summer, and seeing the remnants of communism there left a really big impression on me. And also hearing stories about how the Polish people fought back against the Nazis, it filled me with a lot of pride, but you also kind of wonder, what are you going to do when they come for you? What kind of a person are you going to be? Are you going to sell out your neighbors? Are you going to tell them to F off? Or are you just going to go and just go willingly? I mean, not even that we have to be so harsh and say, okay, there's, jackbooted thugs at your door, even though I do think it could be that way. There's all sorts of ways where our freedoms are being taken away. And there has to be sort of a point where people say no more. And then on the other side, there's a lot of social pressure, I think, especially what we saw with COVID, which was, for people to comply. And I wasn't really super impressed with everybody's decisions there in terms of respecting bodily autonomy. And I think that, we have this little break before things get even worse. So this is a time to really look back on what people did back then and say, am I okay with what I did? Like, is that the kind of person I want to be? Is that what kind of person I'm going to be going forward? Were there sacrifices that we made for this safety that were not worth it? I don't really feel like a lot of people want to come to terms with that. I don't feel like a lot of people are particularly sending me apologies. I'm irritated that has not happened. But I guess that's part of life, right? Where people, I don't know. I thought that people would at least apologize when they realized that they were wrong. And I don't think that that's so common.
No, that's not going to happen. People's egos, especially now in this day and age, you might.
Has it even
No,
happened
I
one
don't
time to
count.
anybody you've even heard of? Like, has anybody
No.
been like, oh, dude, you were right about masks. You were right about the vaccine. You were right about Fauci. You were right about gain of function. You were right about natural immunity. You were right about ivermectin. You were right about the whole scam.
No, you're
No.
never going to. I don't expect it anytime soon. So I'm
I
not
kind
holding
of
my breath.
did.
Piers Morgan,
You did?
a little half-assed. No, it was like a half-assed, like, well, the science changed type of thing. He was.
You had someone apologize, Tatiana, or like a half-hearted apology?
No, but I guess I just thought that seems reasonable. I don't know. Overall in life, there's a few things that I keep finding out, and I'm not really loving the lessons. Another one's kind of like justice is really, really hard to get. And there's all these illusions that you're going to get it through these different systems set up. So I think that's also been quite frustrating. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought people would apologize and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I tried to make you take a shot against your will and killed a bunch of people. I had an accident." I mean, like, how do you come back from that?
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I said you should be denied health care and die in the street because you didn't want to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I asked you for your papers. Every time you go for beer, where are your papers? I was like, and I would do that. I would do my little German accent. I don't think that they would appreciate it very much, but I wouldn't go anywhere. I think there was, one place or something in the totality of that time where I pretended I had, that I was willing to comply with their rules. So
I don't even want to patronize businesses that went. I just want to just ignore them completely, and I hope they fail.
There's
any
definitely
business.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I moved away from New York and the New Jersey area, because I feel like the veil was lifted around the people like that were from my community, right? Like they all just went along with it. And, oh, it's going to hurt my business, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, yeah, that sucks, but people have to do something a little bit, sometimes you have to pay for it a little bit for that freedom. And they just didn't care. They all I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was another pandemic that they would behave in a very
They will.
Environmental lockdowns.
In fact, they'll jump on it twice as fast now because they already know the drill. Well, we already know what to do. We already know to mask up and social distance, and we're going to put the stickers on the floor in the grocery store that tell you which way you can walk.
I think those saved my lives, Bab. The one ways in the grocery store aisle.
I forgot about
Saved
that.
my life.
But like, do you think that little old lady who chastised me for walking the wrong way down the grocery store aisle, right? Is she sitting back going, God, I really shouldn't have told him that? You know, like, or does she even know that about the Wuhan lab leak, that which is almost 100% certain the cause of this whole thing?
It was foxes. It was those fox bear things in China. It was the wet markets. The wet markets, Bab.
Wait, somebody did apologize to me. So I moved to Miami, and my building had a mask policy that I found offensive, and I kind of, wouldn't really obey it. So they gave me 3 warnings for mask infractions. Then I went to their Zoom court, their kangaroo court, and I said, no, I moved here so I could be free. I actually said, I'm really sorry. I'm just, really sorry. Then I guess I didn't sell it enough. And so then they ended up giving me a fine.
What?
How much was the fine?
Was it like an HOA fine or
$100 for freeing the face? And so a few months later, when it was over, I saw the guy from the building, and he's like, we were just hanging out. I was asking him a question about something. He's like, I made you pay that fine a long time ago. I'm like, yeah, I know. And he's like, I'm really sorry about that. I felt really bad.
Okay, give me the $100 back plus interest.
I'm like,
jerk.
You know what? You're not going to get that. It's not his thing. And I said, maybe you could do better next time. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
What else are you going to say to them, right? I mean, you got to live with these people. And I don't know. I mean, I don't have as much desire to be as argumentative right now. Or maybe I should be. I don't know. Are you guys starting fights up there in Pennsylvania?
We're here in Maryland, and it was bad for a while. Our governor was famous for saying, "Wear the damn mask."
Yeah.
So
and get the damn jab, and get the damn jab.
Yeah, get the
lock
damn
down
jab.
Larry Hogan, and was chastising the Baltimore soon-to-be former quarterback because he refused to get the jab, and he was like, just get the damn jab. Like he multiple times that was his, wear the damn mask, get the damn jab.
And I'm sure he was probably photographed at like the sports game or with his family. Like was he one of these ones that was busted for disobeying?
No,
his own
he actually wasn't.
mandates?
I think he was a true believer, or he
not like a Gavin Newsom.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he was supposed to be a Republican. So that, every single time you guys hear about Republicans in Maryland, they are just as bad as the Democrats on just about everything.
Yeah.
You'll find a few cool ones, but other than that, no, it's worthless.
Who's responsible for those wonderful government schools of Maryland, Baltimore, etc.? Is that a Republican problem or?
I would say
who gets the blame for the credit for that one?
Well, who gets the blame? That's different. The blame, the blame that gets shared. Well, it's just it's the taxpayers' fault for not voting to put more money into the failing school system. But it's a Democrat-run city for like 70 years. So you do the math.
So when did you escape the Northeast, Tatiana? When was the last straw? When did you escape?
Escape from New York.
Was it New Jersey or New York at the time? When you
No, New Jersey. I've had a rent control place in Jersey. So March of 2021. So I was out of there. And also, I don't know. I wish people would stop thinking about voting and stuff like that. That's the other annoying thing. Like I was happy, to get together with everybody and rage against the war machine. And then, some of the conversations since then are just around voting. And I just don't think that voting is going to work at all. Like, I don't even know why anybody thinks that that's legitimate.
Well, how's it worked out so far?
Well, even like the sooner that we stop it, the better. I mean, like all right, fine. But like when you see what happened in Trumpy, I mean, come on, that's just such a blatant theft of the presidency. Like, I don't think Biden beat Trumpy. And then you saw what happened with Carrie Lake, and that also was really sketchy.
Who's that?
And so Carrie Lake
she was the Arizona Republican candidate there. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead, Tatiana.
Well, she's this lady out in Arizona. She was running for governor. She's running against the secretary of Secretary of State, who's in charge of counting the votes and stuff. So
Right,
now,
she counts the votes.
Yeah, she's like, she wouldn't debate.
She's in charge of the board of elections.
Yeah, like she's just in charge of her election. Like she doesn't even like show up to debate, nothing. Like she just made herself winner. And then like a few weeks ago, we found out like 20% of all the mortgages in the entire state are owned by like the Sinaloa cartel or something. So there's like all these different people.
She was getting drugged like cartel money.
Like literally the cartel, like on
Wow.
the team, you know, like.
Sounds like she's got a real future in Washington. I mean, that's, Hillary's getting kind of old. Somebody's got to.
Yeah.
We need a new queen
terrible
on the throne.
Queen.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought no, come on, give Hillary a little bit of credit. You know, she's basically irreplaceable. I mean, there's a lot of little warmongers, but some little Katie Hobbs is not going to be the next Hillary Clinton. Come on. You have to have like at least 50 dead bodies by the time you're 50 if you want to be competing with her.
I know.
You're right.
Yeah, and
who knows what she's got? Maybe she's been executing people for the cartels in Arizona. She's been getting her practice in, staging suicides.
So
Chris
no, come on. Hillary's been doing this for too long. Like she's just an old.
She really is the queen of that genre.
Queen of mean,
right?
So do you think that people? Oh yeah, it's going through the appeals process. That's correct.
I mean, there was like legit where like ballots were different sizes, and people are just brushing us off like, oh yeah, it's just it's so blatant, and we don't have our sound drop, but that's where that Rasta Alex Jones in the Maricopa County.
Good day.
Yeah, that it's so blatant, and yet people are like, yeah, well, all right. It's like,
but like, why even bother voting?
Good.
Like, why are people putting in effort into voting at all?
Listen, it's been established for a long time that the United States is an oligarchy, right? It's an oligarchy. Anybody with any experience in politics, whether it was Ron Paul or through a third party or major party trying to get to the convention and have any kind of influence, anybody who's ever done anything can tell you that it is a complete dead end, right? But there's always a new batch of people that are like, oh, we'll just, the presidential election didn't work out, but we need to get our local races where we can really make a difference. And we're going to build up our local committees. And
there's some purpose in that. I mean, if anything, you get to know your neighbors and you know who your community is in your direct neighborhood. So that does have some value.
You know what? You can also do that through drinking.
Too. I mean, why not both?
I do both. So.
Why not both? Door knock while drinking. It's a great, weekend activity. Like, hey, I'm running for whatever.
Get drunk and bang on the doors of strangers.
Exactly.
Wait,
and ask them why they should vote for you. And if you could plant a seed, like, hey, why not?
Okay. So, do you guys think that Tucker Carlson is like a real legit news source?
No, he's CIA. I mean, wasn't his dad CIA?
That's what I think, but my mom doesn't think so. And now he's coming out on Ben Shapiro being like, I can't believe this happened. I was just so surprised that it was so rigged. And then all of a sudden here I was in the center exposing the truth. I didn't see that whole performance, but
he's apologized. He's kind of apologized and has at least claimed to have had a change of faith.
Yes,
for his previous warmongering and repeating it lies. Right?
Are you guys buying it? Like, do you think it's true?
There's levels to controlled opposition.
Could be a limited hangout. Could be a limited hangout, like part of the CIA strategy where they carefully, like when their scams get so exposed they cannot completely deny them. They have to give them some attention, right? But they limit it and try to redirect it and keep it contained in certain areas. maybe he's serving that purpose. He seems though like he's genuinely. I mean, at least he's got a lot of haters, right? They're falling for it. So,
well, I
don't
think
know.
it
What do
could
you
be
think?
honestly, I would buy a story if you guys were to say, hey, he was once a CIA guy, a mouthpiece, and for whatever reason they decided to stop funding him. So he said, all right, fuck it, I'll just go and just start speaking more truth.
Didn't he lose all of his advertisers basically?
He did, I think.
And maybe that kind of like set him free.
Yeah, could have.
You know,
Because
like,
I've never seen anyone apologize for promoting their Iraq war. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the media ever do it, and he did it.
Yeah, but we also heard that, Trumpy was going to drain the swamp and like lock her up, which I never heard of a president telling the other person they're going to lock them up for, or like bring in the rape victims. But then the outcome wasn't even really like quite there. I'm just saying. I don't know. I feel kind of sad because I like Tucker's reporting, but I don't know, anything that's on the mainstream media, like, he's the number one show or something. So he is not that alternative.
Yeah. Even amongst like more like lefties listen to his show than any other program. So like, it's not like he has a bigger lefty audience than like a stupid Rachel Maddow type or whatnot. Like he's big. So, and he said stuff like, oh, he believes that the CIA was involved in the JFK assassination, which still seems kind of like a big deal for somebody that the number one guy with the show to say these things. Who knows?
Well, his interviews have been good. His private interviews. So I don't know. I mean, is there any turning this train around? Like at this point, like, are we all just going into Armageddon? That's it. Like, get some guns.
Right. There's no brake pedal. So we're just trying to step on the gas and see what this bitch can do. Like just let's just get it over with. Whatever's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's I think right now it's just I almost feel embarrassed for the United States. Like, wow, like we have China's negotiating peace treaties with Iran and Saudi Arabia. Like, what? And then just while the United States is sitting there like, wait, no, but we're still just giving money to Zelensky. Like, no, this is, guys, look at us. Look at us.
They're saying, a ceasefire would be totally unacceptable. Like,
yeah, can't have that.
Wow. Like,
no.
And now what about isn't Poland threatening to get in on this now too? What's up?
Not heard
anything. I'm like so irritated. These Polish people need to calm down. So I went to Poland. I did my music video for What You Gonna Do. I did it in Warsaw. It was super cool. And the city was just destroyed in World War II. I think like 85% of it was left in rubble. And so now they've built it back up. And apparently they've forgotten their history because, Ukraine and Poland, not always such a good combo there. There was an incident in where 100,000 Polish people were brutally murdered by the Ukrainians. It's like an international incident that they've never apologized for.
Honestly, so I just read up on that last night. Last night I was reading up on it. I was like, holy crap, because it was during that back and forth where like Russia and Germany, they came together, took over half of Poland, and then the Germans came and the Russians came back, and in the wake, everyone just fucking killed each other. It was insane. And I was reading about how like it was like a rape and torture campaign of Polish people in Ukraine, just because they were fearing that they were going to have like their own state again, a free Polish state. So the Ukrainians in the area just like killed all the Catholics, all the Polish people that they raped and tortured like little kids and like burned them alive. Like, oh, dude, it was awful. I was reading up on it last night.
When did this take place? Like during World War II and post?
1943. I think.
Yeah. So I have a film that I'd like to watch, and it's translated into English into Wollen. I'm sorry, hatred. Not double hatred, just one hatred. And so I'm almost afraid to watch it because there's a lot of this Polish history that I really want to learn about, but I just can't bear watching people get murdered and dismembered and stuff because Like, I feel like that's something that we could see in soon, and I don't want to see that. Like, I just would like. I know war is bad. You know what I mean? It's like how much more do I need to know about that, right? Like, how much more preparation is that going to give me versus just taking away my life thinking about death and stuff. So basically, when I went to Poland, I didn't know what to think. I was a little bit like, well, look, all these Ukrainian people are coming here. Is that going to make Poland like susceptible to be dragged into the war? So my takeaway was the vibe was very good. The Ukrainians seemed really genuinely happy and grateful to be in Warsaw. Everybody was getting along pretty well. Like the cultures are pretty compatible. But Poland has no news that's anything other than pro-Ukraine. You can't even get Russia Today on your Twitter feed, nothing. So it's very, very controlled. I feel like that's not really good for the people, but everybody in Poland is super pro-Ukraine. I was really surprised.
Wasn't it? With that massacre,
99% of the people are pro-Ukraine.
But that massacre from 1943, didn't that involve that guy Stepan Bandera?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Who is
he did
now like an honored hero amongst the Azov Brigade and is like aren't they celebrating that now? How does that?
I don't know why they're all okay with it. Like, I brought up some of these questions. Look, first of all, I'm not some genius scholar of like, World War II Polish history. Give me a break. But, I'm curious and I'm just asking questions and I didn't get really any good answers about it. But now I'm worried that, yeah, these doofuses are going to get dragged into the war. And it's like, I would really like to go back to Warsaw and it not be rubble. It's very, I guess, like triggering, which is kind of a funny phrase, but it makes you really think back to what your ancestors suffered before. And it's not that hard to imagine it happening again. So it's quite scary.
Yeah, there's a lot of conflict like that. Like I was talking about when the Eastern Front of World War II. I mean, genocide, like the Romanians and just even in France, like the VC France and stuff. Like it's crazy to think like how many you say small, but you don't mean small. But it's just like how history's just forgotten it, and they don't talk about it all. And like literally, I'm learning something new at the age of 35, literally last night, that I had never heard about. It's crazy, and it's like there's so many loyalties and so much bad blood, and I think Poland's just so anti-communist, and so they just don't like Putin. So maybe that's what it is. It's like,
but some of them are communists. Like it's like the younger generations are pretty left wing. I mean, I wouldn't say they're like full-on communists, but they just don't know. I don't know. I wasn't too impressed. In terms of like the political views of the youth there. Like I remember I went to a clothing store to try on this dress for the video shoot, and the girls are like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I do protest." He's like, "Yeah, we were at the Women's March, like solidarity."
Oh no.
And I was like, first of all, I find it very irritating that you assume that any woman who is like minded is of the mind that like it's totally cool to have like abortions and stuff. I'm not even saying that it like I probably would err on the side of choice, even though I'm not really thrilled with that choice. But just to be like assuming like, oh, let's go march, kill the babies, it's gonna be great. Like I don't find it very appealing.
Right.
Like as like a woman's defining characteristic. Like why is that the way that women protest? Like that's our number one issue.
You didn't want to wear a pussy hat?
Like I want to be able to get knocked up and get that taken care of all in one weekend, and like you can't stop me. So like I don't feel like maybe that's like a good thing. Some
you
people
should have told that person, you're like, no, I don't do the color coded protests, and I don't go to those ones.
They can't
not the what is it, National Endowment of Democracy don't fund my protests.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I think like they just have their own thing, but I mean everybody's got their own perspective. I like being in Poland. I think that there's some people who are pretty sensible, but I was surprised at how, they were just getting one side of the information about the war.
Your uncle seemed pretty cool.
My uncle is cool, but he's kind of a leftist, if I'm being honest. Not on all top subjects, but yeah, I mean, but I mean, also they have a perspective that I don't know, right? Maybe they know better because they live in Poland. You know, I don't think that they do necessarily, but what do I know? I could be wrong about lots of things. When I
Sounds
first
just
heard
like
about,
typical shit libs.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people out there that are very frustrated and they don't really have like a proper outlet for it. They don't even know how to, like, they don't even know what they're protesting a lot of the times. Look at the people in the Occupy Wall Street, right? Like there's a bunch of incoherent
Yeah.
like philosophies all mixed into one, right?
Those are always fun to go to attend those like Occupy rallies or their encampments and just talk with them. It was always
I
interesting.
mean,
Their understanding of economics. It's like, oh my God. And how
well,
the
I
world
went
works.
there.
Also, you know what? That was cool. Those people cried out for help. They knew something was wrong and they needed like libertarians to
And they were
drop in
almost
and
there. They were
help them
like
out.
they could identify the problem, and then once their solution, it's like no. But yeah, it was interesting. I went down to the Occupy Baltimore a couple times just and that was during the Ron Paul days. You know, you could go down there and here, why don't you read up on the Fed? Read about here's a Murray Rothbard book on what government has done to our money.
Some were genuinely curious. There were a lot of genuinely curious people down there.
Yeah.
And they
So it was
quickly
a good
got
opportunity.
like they you know, the people that were super organized were like the socialist parties, and these people are ready for these kind of things. They live for it. And when these kind of street things happen, they got a game plan, they got the materials, they got the recruiting strategy. They know how to go out there and find dumb kids that are mad about stuff and turn them
George
into
Soros
little,
funds,
you know, like
he
little
does not
socialists.
fund things that are not very well oiled. Okay, George Soros makes sure he gets his money's worth when he supports things.
Yeah, I remember I went down to the to Occupy Wall Street, and one of the things that really stood out to me was that the one normal looking person that didn't look like a degen was the communist table. Like he looked like all neat, he had his nice little red hat. He looked like tidy, and I was like, oh no. And suddenly I started arguing with him, and he's like, "Oh, this is the good kind of communism." I'm like, yeah, right. Tell that to my ancestors.
Off the gulag with you.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think we need to try it. Enough millions of people are dead because of this idiocy. But anyway, like when I went back, I made sure to dress really nicely, and I was giving out bootleg copies of America, Freedom to Fascism, and I don't know, one other one. I think the Money Masters I had also put onto DVD.
Nice.
And I was like, "Hi, want a free DVD? It's about the Federal Reserve." like a beer girl, like promoting beer, but like not really beer, just like
Oh, that's cool.
Some Federal Reserve knowledge. So I thought it was fun.
We passed out really cool stuff in Philly. We even made our own newspaper, the Occupy Philadelphia Inquirer, because like we figured somebody's going to do it. So like we printed up thousands of copies of these several times, and like, but it was all stuff from like Future Freedom Foundation or antiwar.com or Fee or like, yeah, here's about the Federal Reserve. Here's this stuff, like, and then like it just kind of like slipped it in there. I had Jacob Hornberger sent us. I said, hey, do you have any like back issues of his little booklet, this little Freedom Daily publication? He sent me hundreds of them from like all different issues.
Oh yeah, they're great. I have a bunch like on my shelf somewhere. They're just great for like.
Ernie Hancock gave me. He made a bunch of DVDs. Like he had like DVD duplication going, and so like each DVD had like 5 documentaries on it, like all kinds of great stuff. Like so, we'd slip those into the booklets, pass that stuff out. The kids loved it.
Nice. Yeah, there was opportunities then to reach out. So.
Well, I don't know. I'm excited for the upcoming weeks because I've been in touch with Angela McArdle, and there's a Bitcoin 2023 event here in Miami. So I'm just going to try and get more Bitcoiners together with more Liberty people.
Good.
That's kind of the roots as to why we all got together. That Bitcoin jingle that was meant to be, an earworm that would kind of remind you and draw you in and make it sort of unforgettable that you have to use Bitcoin all the time. But yeah, now there's like a bunch of greedy bastards in Bitcoin. I guess there's always like greedy people everywhere, and you know, you can make an argument for greed. But I just, you know, like that's not why I got into Bitcoin. And so I think there's a lot of people that feel similarly, and you know, the case is being made now why it's a good way to escape out of the system anyway. War or not, right?
CBDC is coming.
We'll see. Apparently not in Florida. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that's the word.
That's not going to do anything to stop Uncle Klaus. There's no way he's going to. Like, I'm sure that was good PR, but I doubt that. You know, when the CBDC comes, it's just going to be probably going to just be a matter of, you know, just taking over. You know, liabilities for deposits right into the Fed, you know, so instead of that failed bank owing you your money, now the Fed does, and people are just going to accept it, you know, and it'll be like, now you have an account with the Fed instead of with your bank, and people will be like, well, it's still my money and whatever. What's DeSantis going to do to stop that?
I don't know if he's going to do anything about anything. Like I'm look, this is the way I view it. Kingsley Edwards' father has been in jail for over 30 years for like a tablespoon of cocaine. Everybody in his, you know, like from the judge, the prosecutor, everybody says, oh, you know, let this poor slob out of jail. And during COVID, he was up for parole, and DeSantis was supposed to, you know, give him the thumbs up or the thumbs down. And DeSantis basically waited 2 years to do his duty and to make a ruling. And then he told him no at the end of the day, which is also just irritating. So to me, this guy doesn't take his duties seriously. He doesn't care about these people. He also was involved in Guantanamo. It doesn't sound like such a great guy. So yeah, I mean, as a citizen of Florida, I think that there's some good things that are going on in this state, but I just don't think he's my daddy, you know?
But so speaking sorry about that. Yeah, so speaking of daddy, actually, you know what? That was actually a really terrible transition. That was a really terrible transition. I just want to there was a shooting today that happened in Nashville, was it? This is just fresh. Like, yeah, so it happened at a Christian school, and apparently the shooter was transgender. Was a transgender man. So I just want everyone just to see the media's response to this.
I thought it was a teenage girl that then became a 28-year-old woman.
Yes. Yeah. So here, let me share this.
Used to be a dude. What are we talking about?
So yeah, apparently he's 28 years old. Are you sharing an article there, Otto?
Because like, what is this creature? Like, is it a man or a woman? Is it really like a trans person, or is it
former man, now woman? Apparently,
the USA Today.
Well, now deceased.
I don't know if you guys can see it right there. It says police on Monday afternoon said the shooter was a transgender man. Officials had initially misidentified the gender of the shooter.
That's gotta be tough to be a transgender shooter, and even in your big moment, they're misgendering you. Like you worked so hard for those headlines, you killed all those people, and then they still misgender you. Damn.
Well, the redheaded libertarian has a great response here. It says child murderers do not get their preferred pronouns recognized. So I agree with that.
I mean, do you guys, when you hear about
they do.
Things, I can't feel like they're really happening. There's just a part of me that just doesn't register it. Like anytime that there's a mass shooting, I guess they must be happening, but I just don't feel like a real sense of anything because it just seems so foreign. And also because they never look at, you know, the SSRI. So I feel like it's disingenuous. I'm like, oh, whatever, screw these people. Are just going to say this is like a gun grab or whatever because, we don't have enough gun laws. So I don't know. I mean, do you guys feel affected? Do you ever feel like, oh, this could happen to me? Like, I don't really feel like that would, and I hope it doesn't, you know, but what do you think? Like, do you feel like it feels real?
Yeah. I mean, this is I mean, you know, I think this is just new frequent. I did not hear about this until we were starting up the show about the shooting that happened. But apparently, 3 9-year-olds and 3 6-year-olds were shot and killed. I guess like it's just that shooting victims. I don't know. I don't know if it was fatally shot. Okay, which is terrible. I mean, these are real people. I'm sure you'll see people. You know, you'll see the families and everything else like that. And if the leftists have their way, they'll probably be getting them into the gun grabbing movement soon enough. But yeah, no, I tend to believe a lot of this stuff when it happens. I think though that with the situation with the misgendering of the shooter and this stuff, it's probably just going to get pushed to the background, like all the shootings where they can't pin it on a straight white male. It just seems that's the trend. That they just kind of slip away from the headlines and they don't get broadcast ever again.
Well, and will anybody ever start asking about like what psychiatric meds was the shooter on? Like, I always feel
They
like
all
this
seem
should
to
be
be
That's
that
what
way.
I'm
that
saying.
should always be
Yeah.
front and center, right? If you like, I really don't care what their gender is, like, but I bet you we would start seeing some patterns if you could see that. Oh, yep, another psycho. You know, they were on psychoactive meds. And it's really just another sort of cover up for big pharma, you know, like don't criticize those drugs. Like, I mean, we've seen what this alliance of big pharma and media and government all rolled in together. That they don't care how many people die. I mean, they don't have any limits of any kind, right? So why wouldn't they, you know, why wouldn't they do this too?
Yeah, I'll see if I could pull it up here. And Otto, you might have to walk me through here presenting this, but this right on cue. So they had a
I just added to the stream for you, so there you go.
okay.
You're up and running. So
right
play.
on cue, this woman shows up, and this is a press conference, and this was this afternoon.
Aren't you guys tired of covering this? Aren't you guys
Oh,
tired
boy.
of being here and having to cover all of these mass shootings? I'm from Highland Park, Illinois. My son and I survived a mass shooting over the summer. I am in Tennessee on a family vacation with my son, visiting my sister-in-law. I have been lobbying in D.C. since we survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. How is this still happening? How are our children still dying? And why are we failing?
She's the shooter.
These shootings and
She's
these
obviously the
mass shootings
shooter.
will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass gun safety legislation. Aren't you guys tired of this? Are you guys sick of it?
Okay, no, but I'm sick of her. So here,
I'm sick of pandering.
yeah, I'm not giving her.
So
the
I mean,
I'm sick of dipshits that think disarming peaceful people is going to somehow protect them. I mean,
So
it's like
come
everything
on.
this person did was illegal, and that they want to go after people with legal weapons.
And
It's
so
like,
We need to talk to our politicians about more laws.
I
Exactly.
think this was
What the
I
hell?
haven't done anything yet. I
'Cause
can't
this is
believe it.
one. This is one
it's
of
part of
two
the
things.
op. It's part of the op. This is
Either
it's
she
right
was
on
sent
cue.
there on vacation. She was sent there
Mm-hmm.
because they're like, okay, we got a shooting. Go.
Wait, what town
Or-
is this? Nashville?
Nashville, yeah.
People-
And this
Or
woman just
people
happened to be
do-
visiting.
Or she's such
and
a
happened to be on
megalomaniac,
scene.
egotistical, maniacal person that she was like, oh, there's a school shooting like only like 45 minutes away. I have to go and make a scene and get on
Yeah.
camera somehow. That's
Like-
more likely to me.
Like she joined that Moms Demand Action. They MK Ultra all these motherfuckers, and then they trigger them to show up and demand action. Because I tell you, because I'm running the Mises Twitter for Maryland, and this past 2 months, our legislative critters are in their session in Annapolis, and I have seen the levels of nonstop moms demand action, and then in various
Somebody
states
get these
pushing
moms
for
some
more
action.
gun law.
What
I know.
What is the problem
These
here?
moms are very
Why-
demanding. They
why-
demand action. No,
They
I
demand
we
it.
shouldn't be making fun of this, in my opinion, because it's like, you know, I guess people really are dying. I just have a very hard time, like, putting myself
Processing
into
it.
that kind of a mental place where that actually goes on. I mean, I'm not going full on Alex Jones, but I mean,
it
do you think
happened.
There are. Do you think that there are? I'm not saying like Sandy Hook didn't happen, but like, do you think that there are false flags with these kinds of shootings? That I guess that's part of why I don't really feel like that impressed by them, because I feel like sometimes there's really sketchy circumstances like that Las Vegas one, and then nobody ever found out.
Yeah.
Still don't know anything about
Oh
that.
my God, yeah. that sounded like it was like it got off the rails, like almost like it happened. They're like, oh crap, like he wasn't supposed to go yet, or he was not supposed to do that there. Let's cover this all up,
Joe's like, who was that woman? She was the shooter's handler.
Yeah.
They had the press releases already written. They had it ready to go.
Yeah.
They just needed to find
rinse, repeat again.
They,
it's just the cycle. It's just,
they don't have to be fake, but they can be like
opportunist.
The line, was known to the FBI, right? They get wind of one of these things. They certainly don't stop it. Do they
never let a tragedy go to waste?
Do they egg them on? Do they even perhaps help them acquire weapons? Do they tell them, are they being manipulated to do these things? Maybe, or maybe they're just crazies, and then the lobbyists are just ready for the next crazy, and they're like, okay, here we go.
9 out of 11 of them are false flags.
I don't know. I just don't you guys feel kind of sad with what kind of people we have in the world? I feel like I already had kind of low expectations for mankind, but the past 2 or 3 years, I've just been like, wow, there's a lot of very, very evil stuff going on. I don't know. Like, I was thinking about Pizzagate, right? And everybody's like, no, Pizzagate's been debunked. Like, bullshit, it hasn't. Like, there's all sorts of things that happened with Pizzagate that were like sketchy and I don't know, kind of like unexplained. And to take into oneself like that this kind of stuff is really going on, or that there could be FBI agents that are like, oh yeah, let's let this guy go nuts, let's see what happens. I mean, it's really hard to fathom such evil around us, and I think it's hard to also be hopeful if you think that people are capable of such bad things. Do you guys feel less hopeful about humanity now? Not to be all serious, but I'm curious.
I always have announced that humanity will always, it'll write its course after a long time. It sucks that they fall for, like, they're like sheep. They fall for the initial, the initial thing, whoever the man in the suit that barks orders from them, sits on a throne, that type of thing. I think towards the end of stuff, enough people kind of congregate towards the back as the sheep are jumping off the cliff saying, hey, I don't think we're going anywhere here. Maybe let's all pull it back a little bit. I think there's this, it's like everything, you get out of homeostasis, it's like a very balanced. And then once everything leans to one side, it's bound to kind of push back. And I think that's what about humanity is the fact that we can push back on things. We just got to stop falling for the bullshit.
I don't know. I feel like we're kind of like idiocracy, though. You know what I mean? Like the IQ levels are going down, and we don't even know that we're idiots.
That's true.
You guys are like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I know I'm an idiot.
What are you gonna do?
No, does the idiot know that he's an idiot?
Huh?
I was like, does the idiot have to, like, if he knows he's an idiot, does that still make him an idiot? Or I don't know. So it's a weird, perplexing dilemma there. But no, I there's always, but we could be experiencing that shift all the way to the side and hasn't gone back yet. We haven't seen it go back yet. And going back yet might go back too fast and to the other side. And you don't like that. You don't want the opposite of what you're going to get from some of the stuff that's going on today.
Yeah. Well, humanity does have loners, right? And I think although like human evolution was involved in like tribal, like survival, right? Saber-toothed tiger attacks, functioning as a tribe to defend, right? Like probably made a lot of sense in our evolution, right? As like where you perhaps the individual will becomes less becomes subservient to the group will, right? But I've heard a theory where loners sort of exist because in evolutionary terms, sometimes the herd does make a mistake, and the whole herd of buffalo will run off the cliff, or they'll do something that gets the whole freaking herd killed. And in which case
we're looking at,
in which case these loners survive, guarantee the survival of the species, because there's always a few people that are not going to go along with that. Right. And that's what I feel like I am. I'm one of the, I'm like, I'm not going along with that stampede over the cliff, but it might be our fate to sit back and just watch it, watch it happen helplessly.
I don't know. It's hard to know what to do.
I go back and forth, white pilled, black pilled, but I definitely think, to Otto's point, a lot of people kind of sat in the background and just like, this isn't going the right way. And then you just had people that fell for the ops and are the most boisterous. Because I think sometimes you can just be stuck on Twitter too much, and I'm guilty of it as well. And sometimes you got to get out and touch grass and just get off, like stop doom scrolling, because like get out and touch grass.
It's like, it's like World War III, crashing markets, like the dollar, the petrodollar,
Right.
There's something kind of exciting about watching it all burn, though. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember when they were having all those BLM riots? Now that was really wild, because I was in the middle of like the dark.
Bureau of Land Management.
Oh, those were wild too.
Those were also very, very wild arguments. No, but just watching the country burn and thinking, wow, this could go on in a much scarier
Those were
fashion.
mostly peaceful protests.
Fiery, but mostly peaceful.
No, they trashed Philly. Like I didn't even know if I'd ever go back to Philly. I'm like, it's been lost to communism. Like it was completely destroyed. Glass in the streets, National Guard deployed. Like that's just wrong. I mean,
Baltimore was already gone years prior, so there wasn't much left to
They were just like burning rubble
in the summer of love. So,
well, now Philly just got their water supply ruined. That was a great move. Some kind of toxic spill sent everyone into a panic. There's no more bottled water on the shelves.
Something is going on. Like, so to that point, I saw that it came up because I was up visiting PA this weekend. I went up to Reading, PA, which they had a chocolate factory just explode. Like, it was insane. And this was
probably had nothing to do with Hershey, right? Like this
so it's this company in here. I'll pull it up, but it's RM Palmer, and it's in West Reading, Pennsylvania. And I got up Friday night with my girlfriend around 5 o'clock, and I was helping my dad around the house. And all of a sudden, I hear like 2 helicopters flying around. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So, and then I look on the news, and this chocolate factory just exploded. It was crazy. They're saying it was like maybe a gas leak. They're still pulling people out of this rubble. Like 9 people might have died.
Damn. So are you saying we shouldn't be making jokes about it? Or
no, I mean it's pretty bad.
Jokes.
Yeah, okay. Here's the I'll pull it up there. I got it. But this was from a live camera, and Babs, you probably know what this is. This is on there's a main highway, 422 and Penn Avenue.
That's
railroad tracks.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Whoa. I saw that too. And not great.
No. And
oh my God.
Yeah, so I was I mean my parents live about a good couple miles from there, but we heard about it. My brother has his house is about 2 blocks away from there. He's renting it out now, but apparently they're saying it might have been a gas leak. Who knows? But then it's like a chocolate factory that specializes in Easter candy right before Easter. Like, what is Klaus Schwab up to? And then this chemical spill in Pennsylvania. It's like, I don't know.
You're saying it's the war on Easter? War on Easter is a thing now?
I mean,
when is Easter? I'm looking it up right now. Now I'm curious.
And suddenly there's some new, like cricket-based Easter candy that you can now substitute.
I mean, they're going after the egg processing plants and these food processing and the chicken. They're already going after the eggs. Now they're going after fucking Cadbury eggs. They're going after the Easter chocolate eggs.
That's too far,
right? But it is pretty sad because I mean, I was there. There was the Berks Jazz Festival going on this weekend, and my brother and I and a couple of us went out to see a jazz brunch, and they still had like those blocks cleared, like the roads closed and still. So who knows? I don't know, but there's a lot of weird things going on in the news, and then they're talking about processing some of this water from East Palestine, Ohio, at this sewage treatment plant, literally like a mile from my fucking house in East Baltimore, at this back river neck water treatment plant, which is part of the city. and it's by the railroad track. So they want to bring in, like, what was it, Otto? Like 65,000 gallons of water.
360 gallons, I think it was.
And to be
they're probably like, okay, who do we know that won't even notice? And they're like, how about Baltimore?
Right. So the EPA is trying to force their hand on this city, which already, just in the past month, had an explosion there. And then, like, on and off the past year and a half have been inadvertently just, oh, we're sorry, we're leaking sewage into the Chesapeake Bay, into the back river that goes into the Chesapeake Bay. Oh, sorry about that. And the city runs this facility, and it's like they want to hire a contractor, Clean Harbors, to process water from this fucking train accident out in Ohio. I mean, we just live in the upside downs. I mean, but Babs, have you heard? Are you bottling water and getting prepared for it in Philly?
Well, I only drink beer, so
there you go.
Yeah, it's not really affecting me, but I was in the city, and I did happen to, like, I was at a grocery store, and I did notice that it's completely gone from the shelves. There's no bottled water available.
Yeah, I got an emergency notification when I was home, when I was up in Reading, and my brother was like, "What the fuck?" Like, it's like, I don't know, man. Grab some water while you're up here, because it's goofy, man.
There's a good opportunity for somebody to just roll a tractor trailer load of cases of water and just start selling them out of your trunk for like $20 a case, $50 a case. Who knows what you'd get?
What am I doing Friday? All right, that's what I'm doing. Add that to my itinerary.
Right. You want to get some water. So far, Florida's been okay, but I don't know. I mean, there's only so much that you can do to prepare for all this.
Right. But
I mean, it's just, and the thing that was so ironic about this is they're sending that water from a train derailment. They're sending it by train to Baltimore. Just the irony of it. It's not lost on me.
I'm sure the tracks are perfectly fine between Ohio and Baltimore.
I've lived by the railroad tracks my entire life. The B&O Railroad, so I know it well, and I'm very close to it. So I hope to God.
Back when you were used to ride the rails and jump box cars and
no, I just flattened pennies on the railroad tracks. That's what I used to do.
I had no interest in playing on the railroad tracks. I'm good on that. Seems like that's just a bad default place to play.
Yeah. Oh, I learned now when a train comes, and there's definitely a part of me that was like 3 10-year-old kids just going out there and flattening pennies and stuff like that. I would cringe if I found out my kids were doing that. That would definitely make me feel terrible. But yeah, we were dumb.
Still, we're coming up on an hour. We got to take some things over to the after hours.
I know we still got a lot to talk about.
So Tatiana, do you want to tell everybody about where everybody can follow you before we close this out?
So if people go to Twitter, my name's Queen Tatiana on there. TatianaMoroz.com is my website. I'm on Facebook and all the other places where they suck your soul, including Instagram and TikTok. #1 soul sucker. No, I don't barely go on there. But anyway, I'd love it if people checked out the album. There's a lot of really, really good songs on there. I really like the last track. It's a little bit weird. So I don't know. There's just a lot of good songs on there. I hope people take a listen. And if they like it, tell their friends, because you guys know how the algorithms are with these social media sites.
Oh boy, do we. That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. We're going to record a after hours podcast right after this. If you're interested, hang out with us for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'll hang with you guys. I'm gonna get off the video, but I'm gonna just hang with you guys and just chill and shoot the shit a little bit.
Okay, cool. Well,
thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We're like I said, we're gonna head on to our after hours podcast right after this. It's for little as $3 a month. If you guys want to check it out, go over to Patreon and sign up. And if you guys don't like using Patreon, go over to prlfans.com and find other ways to donate to the show. And we have t-shirts for sale over at libertariancountry.com. If you use the code PRL or PRL podcast, you get yourself a 10% discount. And if you use the code PRL2 and you spend $50 or more, you'll get a 20% discount. So until next time, live free
or die.
Nice.